Contestants of My 600-Pound Life definitely encompass the worst of the worst when it comes to obesity. However, many of the people showcased are able to make remarkable body transformations from the help of Dr. Now. Today, we are looking at some of My 600-Pound Life scenes that will have you in tears. Be sure to watch this entire video, as you won't believe some of these crazy stories. Also, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to never miss a single upload. That being said, let's get right into it. Melissa Morris. For the first spot on our list today, we actually have the first ever episode of My 600-Pound Life. In this episode, we were introduced to the first contestants to set the pathway for the show, Melissa Morris. Melissa weighed in at 653 pounds at the time. In fact, she was so overweight that she was forced to move around on an electric scooter and could barely even get out of her bed in the morning. She was also way too big to even travel, and therefore she knew something had to be done. When interviewed on Good Morning America, the ABC News program, she described the event that sparked her forward. Her mother had recently had surgery for cancer. Sitting in the hospital bed, her mother asked Melissa if she could get up to make her daughter something to eat. Melissa remembered thinking that her mother might die from cancer, but was concerned about her daughter's need for food. That was the exact moment when Melissa decided she would lose weight. Motivated to get a move on things, Melissa underwent weight loss surgery and ultimately dropped down to an amazing 157 pounds. Nearly 500 pounds lost in just the course of a few years. Melissa went on to live a much better life. Despite her past efforts of trying to get pregnant and give birth, she had failed. But she went on to give birth to 3 children, and her story is definitely one of the best on the show. Ashley Reyes. Weighing in at a whopping 668 pounds, Ashley was forced to live in her parents' house with her husband because she was unable to work and afford her own place, or even care for herself. Little did she know that would all change in a couple of years via surgery and proper diet. During her introductory segment, Ashley said she felt like a monster and was completely guilt-ridden due to the burden she felt she'd become for her family. But her backstory is also very touching. Like many contestants on the show, Ashley began to gain weight when her eating addiction arose from childhood trauma. At the age of 12, she was molested by her uncle and turned to food for comfort. Just a 7th grader at the time, she was very depressed and things were not good for her. However, despite profound anxiety and emotional issues, Ashley's time with Dr. Nowzaradan showed immediate results. She lost 54 pounds quickly, qualified for surgery, and dropped a further 106 pounds in the months following her successful operation. She and her husband are now living a much better life, and it's awesome to see the results. Brittany Fulfer. At only 5'1", this 32-year-old named Brittany weighed in at a whopping 605 pounds when she decided to embark on her weight loss journey. In her story, she revealed that it had all started when she was just 5 years old, and unfortunately a family member had started molesting her. That's when she turned to eating for comfort. Well, over the many years, it became an addiction, and she continued to gain weight until she reached 605 pounds. She claims it had gotten to the point where she couldn't remember when food wasn't the most important thing in her life. She also couldn't remember the last time she woke up without her entire body being in pain. She said she often thought it would be better not to even wake up at all than to get up and go about her day. After her first consultation with Dr. Now, Brittany and her husband were so motivated to lose weight that they moved to Houston, Texas to get closer to the office. She eventually underwent weight loss surgery, and after 9 months, she had lost enough weight to go on a date with her husband. Through ups and downs, Brittany didn't give up and ended up losing a lot of her weight. The motivation is key in this success story. Christina Phillips. When she was first introduced to the show, Christina weighed in at a whopping 706 pounds. At that time, she lived with her husband Zach and her parents. Zach functioned as her caretaker, even cleaning up when she couldn't get to the bathroom. He had a need to nurture her, and as she began to lose weight after a gastric bypass surgery, Zach left her. And at the age of 22, Christina knew she needed to take action before her obesity ruined her life. Prior to appearing on the show, Christina stated that she had not left her house in over 2 years, but incredibly, with him gone, Christina began to lose weight even more rapidly. In her first year after the bypass, she lost 318 pounds. She went on to lose a total of 468 pounds. Getting up and walking just a few feet made me feel like I was going to die. I couldn't drive, walk far, or go out with friends and family. I was miserable, and I knew I had to do something. Well, things definitely got better for her, as she is now living a much better life than before. Nicole Lewis. At just 23 years of age, Nicole Lewis already weighed in at an unbelievable 680 pounds. She claimed she was way too big to even take care of her own kids, despite her efforts to try and lose weight. Although she tried, Nicole only got bigger. It was time to see Dr. Now. It had gotten to the point where she not only feared for her life, but feared for her kids growing up around her. When she first arrived on the show, Nicole had trouble walking around. She had to rely on her own mother and 2 kids in order to get anywhere. She was even too big to fit through the bathroom door in her house and had to use a portable toilet in her own room. Fortunately, Dr. Now was able to help this very motivated individual in her weight loss journey. She was able to drastically change her life and has since been documenting herself on social media. Diana Bunch. Weighing in at over 600 pounds, Diana faced a lot of struggles. She had extreme lymphedema in her legs, as well as open sores and blisters. According to the Wrap, she was molested by 2 older boys at 11 years old, and binge eating helped her cope. Diana weighed only 115 pounds throughout her teen years, and eventually joined the Air Force. Then, it all hit her. Diana was gaining weight rapidly. She was eventually discharged from the Air Force for her obesity, which propelled her to want to change that. When you're morbidly obese, everyday life, just getting through it, it's miserable, she said during her first appearance on the show. Pain is a constant visitor throughout my day, but my legs are what hurt the most. But luckily for Diana, she was able to turn it all around, and she's now living a healthy, much more positive life. After appearing on the show, Diana lost 265 pounds from a gastric sleeve surgery that removed 70% of her stomach. Olivia Cruz. When she first appeared on the show, Olivia Cruz was not living a very good life. The 46-year-old weighed in at 578 pounds and was almost entirely dependent on her family for any sort of activity that required mobility. She was living in her mother's basement and felt trapped by her situation. Fortunately, she was able to turn her life around with help from a surgeon, the one and only Dr. Now. Within just 3 years, Olivia was able to drop a stunning 380 pounds, which was about 65% of her peak body weight. She was put at the top 5 of my 600-pound life records for weight loss by percentage. Though she suffered from setbacks and struggled to get her weight loss surgery approved, she was able to overcome these obstacles and eventually get to her weight loss dream she had been waiting for. She then went on to fulfill a career as a chef, which is impressive considering the mobility required for this job. Now her life is a lot better, and this is one of the best stories on the show for sure. Chitoka Light. 49-year-old Chitoka had not left her bed in 3 years according to herself. Yes, 3 whole years. She and some other morbidly obese members of her family decided it was time to embark on their weight loss journey. Chitoka fought hard to even get up and make it out of her house for the first time in years. She eventually made it up, but unfortunately, she couldn't even make it to the bus outside her house at first. She missed her mother's funeral due to this, and this greatly upset Chitoka, making her even more eager to lose weight. Despite her absence at the funeral, she didn't give up, and only got stronger. She ended up losing a lot of weight, and was eventually qualified for weight loss surgery. Such an inspiring story. Sean Milliken. To this day, Sean Milliken holds the record for the heaviest person to ever appear on TLC's My 600 Pound Life. At his heaviest, he weighed an unearthly 1,003 pounds. However, after being admitted to the hospital and placed on a controlled diet, he lost a bit of weight. He qualified for weight loss surgery and managed to lose over 400 pounds in the end. Soon after, Sean and his mother moved to Houston to be closer to Dr. Now. His mom sadly passed away, but Sean continued his weight loss journey. Unfortunately, after a long time of what seemed to be good progress, Sean was taken to the hospital in February of 2009 due to an infection. He sadly didn't make it, as he passed away, but his story is definitely motivating, and it's crazy to believe that he weighed over 1,000 pounds, yet stayed on track to lose his weight.